Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, The Key to Financially Intelligent Cash Flow Management, brought to you by Insightsoftware. My name is Kevin Gibson. I will be the one walking you through today's product presentation. A little bit about the agenda. So what we'll cover today, we're going to break it down into sort of four distinct areas. We're going to talk about the causes of limited cash flow visibility. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into those, the profession itself and why you obviously feel disconnected and what the challenge is facing today's market. We're going to how to overcome those challenges again. So we're going to learn about using the right tools to be able to do that. Your tool belt now will have some different techniques and tricks and functions in it. So to help address those challenges. We're going to walk through a firsthand demonstration of a product called Spreadsheet Server. So you'll see how that fits into how we can access that live refreshable data. And then we'll wrap up with some Q&A. So we look forward to the presentation. Submit your questions as we go through today's conversation, but I hope you enjoy what we have to offer today. As far as who am I? My name is Kevin Gibson. I am a solutions engineer here at Insightsoftware. I've been involved with this organization now for a little over 14 years. I've been a user of their products. And now I am a storyteller. Now I'm telling my story to individuals like yourselves about how our products address and the challenges and situations that you might be facing today, whether it's in a ever-changing environment, whether it's the day-to-day close cycle that you go through. Our products cover the office of the CFO. We have a suite of products that I will just mention today a little bit later in today's discussion. We are going to address the topic of cash flow, which all of our products do. And then again, we'll certainly talk about one of our specific products called Spreadsheet Server and how we're going to address that real time for you today on the presentation. Cash flow is the lifeline of every business. We know without cash, you can't pay the bills, you can't make payroll, you can't have inventory, you can't grow as the economy grows. You have to have the cash in order to sustain that lifeline. So now more than ever, the finance teams have to monitor it. They need real-time answers. They need to be able to get into the details. And all of that collectively now means they are able to respond more quickly, more rapidly into that ever-changing environment. For those of you that are just dumping your data into Excel, you have to run pivot tables, you have to run VLOOKUPs, you have to go build different reports to satisfy those needs. That takes time. Time is not necessarily on your side when it comes to a limited cash flow pipeline. You need to know where you stand. You need to know where the business needs to improve. And then ultimately, it helps you make those decisions of maybe a product line is not as profitable as you want it to be, and certainly addressing where your budget might fall and where you're headed and trending. So that way you don't run short in the cash flow situation. So 3 questions to ask yourself to get started. And we're going to address all 3 of these as we go through. Do you have access to your real-time data? If you do not, that is going to be the first hurdle. Accounting information is already historical in nature. So having real-time access to the data at least can get you up-to-date information. As transactions are being posted, as deposits are being made, our suite of products allow you to connect in and get answers or insight into that information on a real-time basis. Is your reporting automated? Can you build reports yourself? So as your business changes, as your business grows, not only do you need real-time access, but then you need the flexibility to be able to adapt to those changes. A report that was useful 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 20 years ago, obviously is not something that might be relevant today. You're now selling different products. You're now in different markets. You want to just simply track the data differently because the environment or the economy is asking you to do so. Certainly you want to be able to adapt to those changes. And then if you have multiple sources of data, let's face it, in today's environment, there are a lot of different products out there that help you run the business more efficiently. Do they all talk to each other? They do not, but we have products that will allow them to talk to each other. So multi-source connection, the ability to combine that into one single report and now have it as a live real-time refreshable process or scenario. So one question can be answered in one simple statement. Insightsoftware, the office of the CFO, have tools that will address all of that, and we're going to show you how we do that here today. 3 causes of limited cash flow visibility. We've touched on a little bit of this. It's the inflexible options of software. So systems that hold your data are great at that. They're simply great at storing and holding all the transactional functions that you've gone through on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. But where they struggle or fall short is giving the data back to you in a real-time manner. So with our products, we mentioned we connect into that software. We're not changing what your software is doing as far as we're changing what the output of the software can give you. So think about wanting to run a cash flow report, an income statement, up to the minute kind of functionality. That may take an engineer, it may take a DBA, it may take someone with a specific knowledge to go build that report. And then we all know what's going to change by the time you get it created. So the inflexible options in the software, they don't allow you to connect real time, but our products will. Data silos, they make it difficult for you to quickly compile an overview without relying on IT. Touched on that just briefly. In order to create those reports, IT probably has been involved at some step in the process. Those data silos are exactly what they sound. If you're not familiar with a data silo, you can only focus on one particular set of data inside of a system. It's a limitation. What if you wanted to tie your cash into accounts payable transactional information, accounts receivable data? You wanted to track that through sales information that your sales team has out in the field. Those data silos are going to be very restrictive. They're not going to allow you to do that. So again, with our products, we open up that door, if you will, to say there's no data that's off limits and there's no combination that we cannot create. Now, once you've created the data from your inflexible software or from the data silos, we now have the ability to drill down into the transactional level. So yes, it is nice to have live real-time data. It's nice to know what your cash balance is at any given time, but what if it changes by a drastic amount? What if there's data hidden behind that cash number that you simply didn't even know was there? Transactions that were incorrect. Maybe the bank has made an error. Wouldn't it be nice to know or have the ability to drill down into those levels of detail? And therefore, you can even answer questions that get asked and provide yourself better insight into what is comprising those cash transactions, those sales numbers, the receivables, payable numbers. It's all the same conversation. It's not about just cash today, but ultimately it's about your data and what you need to see and the transactional level information that makes it up. So at Insight Software, collectively, we pull data at a more granular level. We connect to over 140 different ERPs. If you're unfamiliar with the term ERP, think about that like your, your general ledger. It's where all your transactions are being stored and held. It's that inflexible software that you have that you're using to run the business. Well, now that you've collected all the transactions, Insight Software allows you to report those into a manner that you're going to be comfortable, whether it's a browser-based product or whether it's the comforts of Excel. And now you're going to help the CFOs of the world run a first-class operation. And all you're doing is simply adding a better reporting function into the process. You have the data, we give you the insight. Unlock your data and automate processes with Insight Software. We look at data in sort of three buckets. Now, depending on the size of your organization, this could be different groups or departments of individuals that handle these functions. There certainly could be one group of individuals that handle all the functions, but we sort of look at these in stacks. Now, obviously, these titles are sort of interchangeable between maybe your controller is more in the treasury spot and vice versa, but this is sort of a concept of how we sort of bucket and look at it. Now, that doesn't mean we separate data when we report. It just means that different departments might want to look at data a little bit differently. So your FP&A team might be doing more of the budgeting and planning, a little bit more of the financial reporting and distribution. The controller, who is in the everyday transactions, the revenue recognition, more of the technical accounting person, to capital management, that's working through the treasury side, and procure to pay as examples. So these are just some of the topics that we address. These are not all, this is not an all-inclusive list. If the data is in the system, if you need to report on it, our suite of products give you insight into all of these areas and many, many more. But ultimately now, under the office of the CFO, these three stacks, as Insight Software would categorize them, just sort of give you an idea of where you might want to focus when it comes to our reporting tools.